Hello there, and welcome to the broadcast, everyone. I was not aware that it was going to be releasing so soon, but it is. So tonight, we are going to be playing the Warhammer 40,000 content for PowerWash Simulator, which should be fun, which should be a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of detail based on what I have seen of it. Before we get too much further into that, though, let's check in with the kitties. We have Ember in the across the keyboard position there. We have Mason over on the bed. And, we have Sammy up on the cat tree. Where is Sky during all of this? How odd. Is normally much more visible. Well, we'll keep our eyes out for him if he, I don't think he slipped into any of the side rooms. Anyhow, I see we have Maybe with us here already. Hey there, Maybe. Welcome. Let's see. Let's see what we have for audio in the game. Hey there, Sighty. Welcome. Make sure all of my chat feeds are working. I like this one. This audio track, it's got some energy to it. I may have forgotten to do one of my pop-up. There we go. Hey there, Aniji. Sorry that I didn't notice my chat feed for Twitch was not functioning. All right, let's load the game up here. Do a quick pause to see if there's good music in it. You actually do have a lot of thematic content, including the player is replaced with an Adeptus Mechanicus, and even the spray tools. If you look, you have a very ornate power washer tool there with the AdMech little cog wheel. Even the soap bottle has the same thing. There's no music to it. Okay. Well, we might as well have ours then. Instead, there we go. Just double check. Yeah, okay. Down a little bit. There we go. Even the little step stool, it has little spider legs. Excellent. I swear, Twitch stream. Hey there. So sorry, Aniji. Again, my Twitch feed is misbehaving. See if I can. Let me see if I can force a refresh here. Hmm. Okay, we're gonna refresh the chat feeds, everybody. Just a moment. It's misbehaving. I need to make sure that the chat is coming through properly because otherwise I can't see what you're saying. I think I saw Cheese joining us earlier, or just now. Okay. Does Aniji's chat show up? Why is it not showing up? Okay, one more thing to try. If I can force it. Yeah, I can see the allure of PowerWash Simulator for the crossplay purposes. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out how I can get this visible at the same time for me. We'll put it here. So my Twitch chat feed is misbehaving. I'm sorry if I missed something. It looks like they may have changed something such that Social Stream isn't seeing it. And that's a problem. Okay. That. And normally this just works, but yeah. I'll have trouble seeing you if you're just on Twitch, Aniji, because I have to make sure that the Twitch window stays visible to me. And one of my streaming oh no, wait, there it goes. There it goes. It's working. It's working. Okay, great. As soon as you switched, maybe that was the secret sauce. You can only do 2-player co-op in story mode, maybe. It looks like if you do the free play mode, where you just revisit a level, you can do up to 6. This one listed free play is 1 to 6. Maybe there's a console limitation. Okay. That makes sense. That the extra content could be different. Because the 40k stuff was 6. So if co-op is 2, then you have free play, which, you know, stuff can be different. Okay. Let's look around a bit. Oh, man. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, look at this. Even the exterior. Look at that. Orbital ring over a forge world. I don't know if it's meant to be Mars, but look at that. You can even see a one of the skull glyphs in the building down there. This is way more than I thought they'd do. Fancy cargo containers. Documents with purity seals on them. Hey there, Peyton. This looks like the orbital ring of a forge world from 40K. Just look at all the extras. One of the things that you'll see in a lot of 40K games, all of this stuff matches what some of their tabletop models. I'm fairly certain that they have 3D renders of their tabletop models, because those pipes, this scaffold, with the little safety gates there, those plasma generators, this shipping container, those are all 40K models. Even the barrels. And they look very similar. 40K Peyton is Warhammer 40,000. It is a tabletop game, like with models and whatnot. It's wargaming. There are a lot of there's a lot of video game content to go with it. Oh, redacted residue. But yeah, there's so many little details in this. Let alone that you can walk off of the cleaning area and look around. Good deal. Good deal. Let's see, is there anything special about our ladder? No, the ladder is the most mundane thing. Even the base scaffold has that chonky imperial look to it. Looks like we have an Ultramarines Land Raider here. Battle damage. Intel subdivision of the vehicle schematic has sent subdivision of the vehicle schematic has been sent to your optics system. Work systematically through localized contaminants. So the AdMech are very machine transhumanists. As in, they're big on the idea of kind of transcending the human condition using cybernetics in replacement with machine parts. Like, their philosophy is that, organic bodies are weak and bad. It's actually a punishment in AdMech culture to have your cybernetics taken away. A lot of Warhammer 40,000 vehicles are based on World War I and World War II concepts. And then they make them chunkier and blockier to make them, less functional. If I had thought about it, I would have tried to find some really, gothic music to go with this. Some cathedral-style music, But you look at this and you've got like the dual tread kind of crawler look that you got in some late World War I designs. You have side doors and whatnot, but some of them have the front doors modeled after the generally this is like a drop-down front door as well that are modeled after the World War II landing craft. Shoreline stuff. Part of it works to emphasize the idea that you see in 40K that technology was set back wildly. Like the understanding of technology was set back. Grandfather Nurgle, I think, is a cool concept. A lot of the Chaos Gods are cool concepts. The thing that you get portrayed most often is just their essentially the evil side. So Grandfather Nurgle's presentation as the the harbinger of disease and whatnot, which is true, but also there are representations of him, and some of the things you see even in the disease imagery is his aspect as essentially a god of life. In that, in addition to the aspect of disease, the death aspect, you do have the aspect of growing life and essentially fertility. At least in the Age of Sigmar representation, his domain is essentially like an overgrown jungle kind of terrain. The diseased creatures, for some of them, it's like they present plague marines, for example, a lot of times as being wildly diseased, but also free of pain and suffering as a result of it, like mentally. The pain is still there, but they don't care. It is just part of their being. That's right, the Garden of Nurgle. There you go. I feel like, at least in the fiction and the descriptions of them, the demons and beings associated with Nurgle also have the most character to them. They're not just like our battle, killing blood that you see in the portrayals of the Cornate demons. The Tzeentchian demons are just weird. Hey, Pineapple. I do recall seeing you previously. Yes. I see Keats there. Did that not come through in the social stream? Let me verify. There we go. Hey there, Keats. Yeah, and it's a fun game. It is a fun game. Orcs, I think, are portrayed relatively well. I don't like a direction that they took eventually, and that's that they made the concept of the Wa, the orc psyche, and the way that they developed their technology, essentially just their imagination makes it real. That, the some of their guns are just a box, like a chunk of wood, but because they believe it works. I liked it better when they had intrinsic species knowledge. You know, when they originated from an engineered species, and their weird boys had remnants of that. So a mech boy was fundamentally they have an excellent grasp of tech, and it's just that they don't care how it looks, they care that it functions. And then orc culture takes over, and they're like, it should also look cool. Yep. All right, Keats. Well, thanks for joining us. This game is PowerWash Simulator, Pineapple. This is specifically the Warhammer 40,000 expansion content to it. And I like PowerWash. And I like some elements. I like the art of 40K. But yeah, Cheese, you had the corks, I think they were they the ones that were engineered to fight the Catan? Yep, a species that was designed to be a perpetual war machine. The orcs being the late stage kind of remnants thereof. Where instead of being a relentless kind of bioweapon, they end up being like, they think it's fun. My day's been going pretty good, Pineapple. Sleep is still wonky lately, but to some extent, I'm just gonna make it work, you know? Whether through the medication that I have available to me, but that I don't like to have to use, or just by adjusting my schedule accordingly. One thing I miss from 40K is earlier on in it, like 2nd edition era, and also in the fantasy content, the little orcs, essentially the goblins, the grots, in 40K are given kind of short shrift, you know. I miss when they emphasized the grot's actual role in the orc armies. You can still actually see some of it, and in the fiction it is still described, but I don't think it gets kind of the screen time that it deserves. Because they actually build and maintain a great deal of the infrastructure that the orcs have. They run the guns. You want to be able to clean a dreadnought? Well, good news, Cheese. I am pretty certain a dreadnought is one of the things we'll be cleaning. I think there's also an Imperial Knight. Because I am almost certain that Games Workshop views this as the best of free advertising. Not being as systematic as I like to be, mostly because, you know, I'm chattering during this. I'm pretty sure anything past Imperial Knight would be too big for this game. You might get away with something like a Warhound. But I'm pretty sure bigger than that, and you'd have problems. And don't worry if you don't understand all the names and whatnot that we're throwing out. That's largely for anybody that wants to geek out about Warhammer stuff. Just know that we're probably talking about mechas and tanks. Oh, related note. For those that are aware of the game Helldivers, they officially announced the mecha vehicles that have been getting leaked since they were in the game files. They officially announced that they are actually adding those into the game. Geez, I was mentioning that the Helldivers game, they're adding the single-person mecha vehicles. They're like little bipedal... Oh, they're essentially dreadnoughts, like piloted by living people. There were a lot of leaks because they were in the game files, and people that were like hacking the game were spawning them in. To augment ritual fervor, a brief account of the Land Raiders' recent deployment will be forthcoming. Ooh, neat. Sammy's making biscuits on my leg, and Sammy's claws are very sharp. Well, I mean... they're living people in the sense that the Emperor is still alive, Cheese. It's that technically sort of vibe. Full of so many tubes and life support elements that it's much more that the whole device, I would say, could be considered alive. Like, the Dreadnought could be considered alive, but the body inside of it, the wounded or dying, or, you know, effectively dead Space Marine, cannot survive outside of it. It's a fun duality or parallel to the Chaos Hellbrute. So Space Marines have dreadnoughts. They are biped kind of war machines, and it is generally the things piloting them are often critically injured Space Marines, soldiers, and it's considered an honor to be preserved inside of one of those and to continue fighting for your legion. So they're always like really clean, and they're viewed as kind of they act and are viewed as the veterans and the elite. Conversely, the Chaos Space Marines, the Rebel Marines, the Corrupted Marines, depends on which one you're looking at. Have Hellbrutes that are essentially the same tech, but more demonic. For them, being interred inside of one is not an honor. It is not something that you aspire to, and it's generally viewed as a punishment. Because while the inside of a dreadnought is a life support system that preserves you as a person, the inside of a Hellbrute is a biomechanical, horror show that uses you as the essentially pilot system for itself. So it's generally really painful, and the pilot usually goes insane. And as a result, Hellbrutes are not kept, in machine bays and kept maintained. They're usually chained up in a hold somewhere and just dropped on the enemy. In the tabletop game, they're essentially just dreadnoughts. Little towing hitch here. Yeah, good times. Good times. It's a very Zen game. I wasn't aware of that part of the fiction, Cheese, but, it ultimately makes sense. It's not like the Space Marines that are put inside them are real, into cybernetics in the way that the AdMech are, They aren't integrated with the machine. They're wired into it. So I suspect there's probably a bit of interference going on, A cautionary tale for the Neuralink enthusiasts. I mean, setting aside the fact that I don't want capitalism wired into my brain personally. Engine pipe still has a little bit going there. I haven't heard of that. Maybe I'm just not recognizing the term, Cheese. I wonder if the track in its entirety is a thing, or if the individual panels are things. See anything about the engine housing? Probably up above I'll be able to get more. No, I'm only aware of the concept of, like, astropath and such. If we're talking 40K, you know. Data recording from the pilot. I may have to look it up. A way to reinforce the fleet secundus, we were diverted to a distress signal from the planet. Withheld strategic Astomare B785. I'm going to guess that the whole tank tread assembly is the thing that we'll be cleaning off. Imperial forces stationed there claimed they had detected the presence of a restricted artifact H-class. I have that. Okay. Before encountering the redacted heretical, the value of redacted classified item could be of extreme significance. Yep. Always possible with the YouTube videos. It's a lot of people run into an issue where they won't notice that the stream has fallen behind, but it's still feeding, you know? Because sometimes, apparently, it just decides to do that. Looks like twin-linked las cannons on this, so this is a anti-armor variant. It's not clear how many pieces they've got in this. From the looks of the naming, Outer Track Armor is a great deal of this. But there are things like the hatches and whatnot, so hopefully we will get more dings. Iron Brigade. I mean, I've heard of it. Well, I'm sorry. It sounds familiar. Let's put it that way. I remember one that had a similar name that was older one, definitely older one, where you played in a alternate history, kind of World War One or 1 to 2 tech, you know, but you played on something called mobile trenches, which were bipedal mechanical platforms that actually had in-placed weaponry on them. Things like World War II bunkers, sandbag emplacements, field artillery, that kind of thing. And it played out kind of tower defense-y, where instead of placing towers on the map, you would run. Okay. Then I did recognize it. It was kind of fun. It's a shame that the Steam port of it has not aged well as far as stability. At least in my experience, it was very flaky. But I do remember playing it on Steam. Very fun at the time. The mixture of kind of sci-fi B-movie and the way that the military tech had developed and was presented, you know? There's our little mechanical steps tool. Where are you? I just noticed. Look at the texturing on this. That's probably not a... you might need to get that looked at. There, Rat. If it continues longer than than 40 minutes, you should seek medical attention. But welcome nonetheless. Playing PowerWash, if you aren't already aware. Trying to get these las cannons properly scrubbed. Interior side is going to be hard to get to. If they had been smart, they would have painted this as an assembly, and then we could have just popped the magnets loose. But I was going to mention, you can see these lines here. I'm almost certain this is meant to be brush strokes because you can see the edge highlighting and the like. Which I think is potentially an amazing touch. It looks like each las cannon in the array is going to be an entity. There might be grubby stuff on top of it. You might have to do extra streams of this because seems there's a lot to cover. Arriving on the planet, we found ourselves overrun by something. It says redacted heretical. That could be that the information is considered heretical, or that the forces are considered heretics. We were close enough to detect the presence of the artifact. Fortunately, those before us were wise enough to encase it in something. There, we must return in greater numbers before it is damaged or lost the enemy. Okay, gonna step away real quick here. Be back in just a couple minutes. Sorry about that. We're back and settling back in here. All right, we're back. Hey there, Noah. If you mean the content of the game, this is PowerWash Simulator. So we are spraying water on the stuff in order to clean it. And welcome. And I do like these songs too. All right, let's... .15-degree nozzle is generally plenty, but... Okay, we can use... I'll have to try to figure out the buttons again. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is the 40K content for PowerWash Simulator. I'm trying not to have to get on the scaffolding to get the last of this last cannon here. There we go. All right, we got the swivel. We got the second of the las cannons. The sponson is definitely grubby up above, too. Ladder steps here are grubby. Noah, the concept of this game is that you are presented with something that you have to power wash clean. And while it sounds like it's a mundane task game, like, hey, clean the house, that kind of stuff, this game actually has a storyline. Like, the base game has a storyline. There is a plot. There is lore to the game. And it's not just you're running a power wash business. Oh yeah, they went for all the extras on this one. Hunter killer missile pod, smoke launchers, heavy bolt, twin linked heavy bolter on the front. They're committing a lot of points to this vehicle. It's just going to get popped by a las cannon from across the battlefield in turn 1. That's right. I was mentioning that earlier in the stream, Noah. The tank designs in 40K, at least the Imperial ones like this, are generally based on World War I and II tech. Like, they're really prone to this, like, double track design with the Space Marines. The Imperial Guard, essentially the default human military, their stuff is very World War II. There's a lot of Sherman tank-looking stuff, but chonkier. Armor is done. The sponson is done. Okay, outer track armor. So if you look, when I'm looking at stuff, there's a meter in the upper left. The circle is telling me how much of the entire vehicle is clean, and the meter is telling me how much of the thing I'm looking at, like this track housing, is clean. A little more on this. Marine Second Company. The default Space Marine. Of the hatch frame. There's a little more of this that has some. That's right. Grime pulse. If I press tab, I can see the dirt glow for a moment. The double-headed eagle is one of the Imperium's symbols, the Imperium of Man. Get a residual over there. Tread is still very dirty. Lots of grime in the crevices. Hey there, Haruto. Welcome back. We're playing some PowerWash with the new 40k content. I'm a fan of the 40k art. So we had to play this when it showed itself, you know? That and I like the PowerWash Simulator game, so double bonus. Yep, last time we were doing some game coding, and we will be doing more of that this week. But we will be trying to clear this game's content as well. So this will be a different schedule than normal. It'll probably be coding and this until it's finished. Apparently, this style of music that is playing is referred to as drift punk. I don't know if that's universally true. I am not on the nuance of music naming conventions. But it's in the same genre of the music that is used as essentially Giga Chad's theme music. Where's the black cat? Let's take a look. Where is Sammy? Last I saw her, she was on the cat tree. Yeah, there she is. Zoom. See, she's on the lower platform there. Just on the edge of the screen. That seems to be one of her spots. I think we still have two over here. Oh, no, just sherbet. Let's put it on the tree for now, then. I do. This is the proto Nyanite. They are cat themed robots. Precursor product to the Nyanotypes is the Catbot, now rebranded as the Nyanite. Catbots are boxier and chunkier. Nyanites and Catbots are distributed by the Catbot Corporation and manufactured at the factory, which I run in a fashion that is totally consented to by the company. And they continue having a choice in the fact that I am running the factory. Rubbing down the heavy boulders. Bolters are a weapon of the Imperium primarily, though, it's pretty much the Space Marines, including their Chaos counterparts. It is a big, wide-bore weapon that essentially fires rockets that are meant to embed and then explode. Hello, Sky. Hey. Sky needs head scratches. So my mouse hand is now occupied. He doesn't sit on my lap really often for things like back scratches or pets or anything like that. He'll sit down within range of my right hand and demand really intensive chin and ear scratches. That's nice. I mean, VTubing in general has really taken off. I like it. It's another creative expression vector. We're all oily and drooly now. Good. Heavy bolter is clean. That one is clean. Its housing is clean. Front armor is not clean yet. Always good to get any of the little bits of dirt when you see them so that you don't have to worry about it later. You don't want to be scrounging for things to clean right at the end. Hey there, barbed wire. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss there, Haruto. Sometime shortly ago, for a period, there were 7 cats on the street. The ones that have recently passed are my Ginger, Weasley. The remaining of my 2 Maine Coons, Tom, who was about 14 at the time, and Rorschach, who was a big, muscly, you doing Hunkai Star Rail grinding there, barbed wire? Rorschach was a big, muscly tuxedo. Big, friendly baby, but if the other cats in his family were threatened, he was fierce. Weasley and Rorschach died of essentially the same sickness. It spread between the 2 of them. I can't remember what it's called, but there is it's not like FIV. It's not like feline HIV. It is a mutated cold that pretty much all cats have in a benign form, like it doesn't hurt them. But if it mutates, it's pretty much 100% lethal. It'd be like that, Haruto. You can't guarantee that somebody will show up for a game session. I have a group of folks that I play multiplayer games with, and they're not always available. But sometimes isn't a terrible thing, because then you're not expending too much patience for a particular game or group of friends. I don't know what your social battery is like. But, you don't want to find yourself in a circumstance where a game you like or a group of people you like is becoming tiresome to you, Which one is BBS, barbed wire? Hey there, German. Very Very straightforward profile pic, given your handle. Little German flag with eyes. Ah, okay. Bleach Brave Souls. Welcome to the broadcast, German. We are doing the 40k content of PowerWash Simulator. And chatting. I'm currently scrubbing down a hunter-killer missile launcher. This is a heavy armor-penetrating single-shot missile. Which game you play in, German? Huh. Is that one of the Telltale ones, German? All right, Haruto, thanks for joining us. A good way to know if it's a Telltale one is if you do not infrequently encounter the phrase "person will remember that." Not too shocking. I did play, I think, the season 1 Telltale Walking Dead game. I think they did a decent job with the human drama aspect of zombie fiction. It is one of the things that you should generally consider doing for a good zombie narrative, is the human impact. I mean, the escaped prisoner was a cool guy. You know, of course, the little girl that he helps is an empathetic character. I think as a duo, they were fun. It's been quite a while since I touched the game, so those are the only two that stuck with me as far as memory. Which is a good sign when your lead characters are the memorable ones. It's not a bad thing when side characters are also memorable, it's just you don't want them to be more memorable than the leads. Auto surveyor dish. Ribley's here. Yeah, the Telltale games, they have a whole bunch of them that they have made along those lines that are pretty well made. They're good narrative games. It's definitely something to be said for a narrative game, an entirely narrative-focused game that isn't a visual novel. Smoke launchers. There we go. Air vents. A lot on the tank armor that is not clean. Not too surprising. Hey there, Michael. Welcome, welcome. We are playing the 40k content of PowerWash Simulator. I find it to be a very zen game, and I like the art of 40k. But because it's such a chill experience, feel free to chat. It may take me a moment to notice that chat has happened, but more than happy to talk with folks as we go. Just make sure that that my chat feed is still working. There was a problem with it during one of our recent streams, and I didn't see anything that a couple of the channels were saying, which is frustrating. Camera 1 is flaking out. Fine, fine. Targeting system. As much of these las cannons from above as we can. There are different nozzles you can use for the pressure washer, but generally the 15-degree nozzle will cover everything you need. You bring out the rotating nozzle if you have it for anything that's really in there. Whoop. It's the other tread, that's good. Those unfamiliar with the game, the yellow that keeps appearing shows up if I press a particular button, and it lets you see where there's still dirt. Because sometimes it's not terribly apparent. You'll have, like, grime still in the crevices, you know? But once you hit a certain amount of clean, you don't have to get the rest of it. It consumes the entirety of it when it goes ding. And that ding is very satisfying. Bit of this housing right here that I can't get here. Yeah, that's probably it. Let's get the scaffolding over here. Oh man, that's a hefty sound when it lands. There we go. The Imperium of Man is really fond of their memento mori, so they have a whole lot of skull and bones motif to them. It doesn't help their space fascist image to use that kind of imagery either, but they have a lot of things like reliquaries and such. So it'll be like, somebody who is canonized as a saint at some point. The bar is not terribly high for that. What, Michael? Hello, Sky. Hello. I know you're up there. I know you are up there. Sky has been wanting a lot of attention lately. Go. There we go. 97%. Quick visual sweep, and then we'll check the list. Ah, there we go. This angle first, then we'll double back. Engine housing grime too. Yeah, it's one of those games to just kind of chill out too. Like, I guess you could get pretty intense if you were to try to, like, speed run a level or something like that. But otherwise, it's just a get it done kind of thing, you know? It's the do the thing kind of experience. Welcome back, Cheese. We are almost done with the Land Raider. Outer track armor is still missing something. All right, there we go. Rear plate is still very grubby. Track armor. Surprised I didn't get that while I was up there. just be I didn't go from this angle down here. Another tube cleaned. One of the nice things is that the water does splash, so you can get the cleaning down into a crevice if you angle it right. Still some on that toe ring, huh? Yeah, back of it. So a little bit more on the ring here. There we go. There we go. All right, let's get back up top. Yeah. This particular outer track housing is really close to done. Yep, there we go. But yeah, if you look at these, this is actually a 3D render of the models, the tabletop models that Games Workshop makes. Like these exhaust vents they're capped right here. They don't actually vent. And if you look at some of the texturing, you can see the edge highlightings in the brush strokes in some places. See brush strokes because they didn't use too thin coats. Citadel painting joke. One of the artists that would do the box art style stuff for Warhammer minis, whose name I can't remember. One of their almost like a catchphrase for them was too thin coats, where they tried to emphasize to people that you don't put the raw acrylic right on the model. It makes it overly thick and gloppy. You water it down a little bit, and you apply at least 2 thin coats. The second coat, because the first one won't be thick enough to have full coverage. But with just the 2 thin coats, that makes it so you also are only applying the minimum amount of pigment that you need to get the color on the model properly. So it won't get all nasty, gloppy. Okay. Engine fuel induction cover, the skid plate, and the track armor hatch. Some part of the engine and some part of the back skid plate. There we go. So it'll stack here. Let's get the scaffold. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we need the skid plate. Okay. One of the armor hatches on the track. One of the hatches on the tracker. There we go. There we go. All right, now we're going to get to see the replay. You can see that your player model is actually a little AdMech guy. So good. So good. Canticle complete. Excellent. Tech Priest, your efficacy in this blessed task has exceeded chronological metrics. I feel the motive force of the venerable vehicle resonate. The Omnissiah has indeed brought us a worthy adept. So translating that, you didn't take too long to do it. It's effectively the computer in the vehicle is operating properly, or at least it's, when they say the motive force, it's anything from like the internal computer to the engine. I shall see to it that Tyro 656 reserves only the most glorious and arduous benedictions for your attention. You did really good. We promise that you'll get harder jobs from now on as a reward. In the meantime, it would be prescient to reflect on the further reduction of your biologica to increase your efficacy further. You should consider getting more cybernetics. The Omnissiah is the cult Mechanicus's god. There is, from a lore perspective, you have the Emperor of Mankind, is a figure that unified Earth after effectively post-apocalyptic Earth, and went to Mars, where they had maintained a society. And upon encountering them, there is some back and forth in which the cult Mechanicus, some factions of it believe he is their Omnissiah, is the embodiment of their god, and other factions of the Mechanicus effectively agree to call him that, so that they can have a functional alliance without political and religious conflict. Oh, here's our dreadnought, cheese. Magos Pertinax Pius. Chant of the Unrelenting Hammer initiated. Tech priest, though many of us have been stationed within this glorious ring of iron for time immemorial, none have borne witness to the caliber of warrior which stands before you now. Besmirched by the unholiest of Xenos and Flora, it rages for absolution. Hey there, Miss Gloomy. Welcome to the broadcast. You're joining us for some PowerWash Simulator 40K content. Know then that you will perform rites of cleansing upon a dreadnought variant withheld, declassification level Z326.01 of the chapter withheld. We'll find out which chapter pretty quick. Once fallen, twice risen, and now augmented by machine. Okay, so it's... The implication is that they've been in two dreadnoughts. So the Space Marine was mortally injured, revived by putting them in a dreadnought, and then again the implication is that dreadnought went down and they put him in another one. Though it's in now augmented by machine. I don't know. This is a singular honor. Do not fail me unless you wish for transfer to the Skitarii on Parlous 5. The Skitarii are the actual direct military wing of the Mechanicus, and they hold the same kind of pattern of cybernetics, but instead of it being like ascension past humanity, it's very practical, and there is a high lethality factor involved. They use a lot of weapons that are self-destructive to any like flesh that remains kind of thing. Lots of radiation and the like. Again, hey there, Miss Gloomy. How you doing? Well, continue. All right. Which chapter we got? Let's see. We got Moss. We have Redacted Residues. Miscellaneous Grime. Foliage. Carbon deposits at the edge of it. Plasma Cannon. Ooh. All right. Which chapter are you? Imperial Fists. Okay. Cleanse initiated. I think it's Imperial Fist. That's the bog standard yellow, right? Verification required. Engine Seer outranks Tech Priest, and yet... Tech Priest sanctifies Dreadnought, whilst Engine Seer cleanses Prometheum fuel drums. This is essentially our current boss complaining that we get to do the cool thing, and he's doing the grunt work. He is literally washing fuel barrels while we have the privilege of scrubbing off what is the battle suit of a lauded veteran. Previous biographical impartation increased ritual efficacy by 3.56%. Limited combat history will be disclosed through communications with the chapter's Tech Marine. Let's get the initial scrub here. And we'll go back over for the finer pass. Maintain your intrigue, tech priest. Your Magos asks that I impart some account of our chapter's history to assist the vigor of your cleanse. Hey there, Tass. See, I already sense the fervor of our chapter's Redemptor Dreadnought. Stirs you. As well that he is in induced slumber. Yeah, we finished the Land Raider, and now we're on to a Dreadnought. Though he has a few words there, usually the last to pass into the ears of a traitor. We would not wish for him to exercise such judgment in our current location. The Skitarii show us some of the more brutal, practical side of the AdMech philosophies. For millennia, our chapter has scoured the galaxy for the corrupt and honorless. These redacted heretical turned their back on the Emperor and have left us no choice but to remove any whisper of them from history. So the Traitor Marines, the Rebel Marine chapters. Recent excursion amidst the dense carnivorous forest of planet Redacted Classified detected evidence of such redacted schismatic. Like one of the Skitarii, essentially cavalry units, are these biped striders, and the Skitarii have things like lances that are meant to be, short-range anti-armor weapons, usually. But if you look at the model, you have the Skitarii rider. But if the actual strider, like what amounts to the hips or the main body of the little strider vehicle, is another person, like another cyborg. So not only do you have the heavily cybernetically augmented person probably forcibly recruited into the Skitarii, somebody else was recruited to be the horse. One guy was press ganged because it would be he would be honored with the opportunity to serve the Omnissiah with his life, and then this other guy next to him was grabbed, and you get to be the horse. Well done, Cheese. I don't know if you saw it, Tass, but they, the Helldivers folks officially announced that the mechs are getting added to the game. Yeah, though given the Skitarii weapons, there's not going to be enough left for a Servitor. Like, the AdMech have a lot of more advanced weapons than the rest of the Imperium. And also they have access to tech that is not safe to use, but the Skitarii are not really viewed as... You know, I'm not going to say expendable, but it's pretty close. So... I'll look at the scaffold in this task. Let alone the place that we get to work. Like, there's the platform that we worked on the Land Raider. But if you go out to this big cathedral window, you can see we're on an orbital ring around Mars. Like, above and beyond. Lots of extra detail in this. Hey there, Ethan. It hasn't been all that long. Even if it has, no worries. Not that one. This one. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, I can. Okay, so we have the stubby gun. Stubby gun being a riff on stubber, which is the 40k naming convention generally for a solid slug gun. Then we have the Mark II Aqua Sanctica Arquebus short extension. Then the long extension and the extra long. I had been paying attention. Using the longest extension viable for your position gives you better cleaning power, essentially. You want to be as close as possible. Yeah, they have things like, the Skitarii will use things like radiation weapons that quite literally is killing them to even carry them. No, this is an expansion. This is expansion content that is the Warhammer 40,000 content. So we get to play as a tech priest cleaning a dreadnought. Hearing that there is to be an assault upon the nearby planet, Brother Zachiel enlisted our chapter squad into the gathering forces. This is the same planet that the Land Raider was sent to, and called in extra reinforcements. They seek to obtain the artifact. That they seek to obtain the artifact is of no import to us. Yeah, we just want to go there and fight the enemy. Macro Plasma Incinerator. That's a big gun. I mean, quite literally, it says it's a big plasma cannon. Not the biggest plasma cannons that are available by far, but still, for a dreadnought, that's a big plasma cannon. Yeah, we started the stream with what amounts to a tank. I know there's at least one more tank we'll be doing. And now we're on to this mecha. Icarus rocket pod. Icarus weapons generally mean it's an anti-air weapon. There's an in-placed laser cannon array that is an Icarus defense system. Like 4 rapid-firing big laser weapons. Oh yeah, they mentioned that. Cheese was actually talking about it. I wasn't aware, but the Loyalist Marines are also prone to psychosis if the Dreadnought is active too frequently or too long. Not to the extent of a Traitor Marine Hellbrute. But that makes sense, and they kind of mention that in the little lore bits here, is that like he's really battle hungry when he's activated, and they've got him. They essentially have turned him off to be in here cleaning, because there's the worry that he would go wild and start shooting. I also like, in very, robotic ad mech conversation, our bosses said that they're effectively jealous that we get to do this and not them. All right, Miss Gloomy, thanks for joining us. A lot less ground to cover on this one. But also a lot of greeblies concealed by armor plates. I'm not familiar with bearers of the word. They could be, some random subchapter. There's a Traitor Marine group called the Word Bearers. They're actually one of, the primal traitor groups, if not the primal traitor group, frankly. It's like Brothers of Silence or something like that. Something Silence is a story that takes place from the perspective of Plague Marines on one of their battleships. And they have a Hellbrute in their hold. And it's essentially talked about like it's an animal. They have it chained up, and while it's still, there's still an intelligence in there, it's a danger to everybody. Oh man. Yeah, that'd be like a Contemptor or something like that. A pre-heresy dreadnought. Lots of little Greeblies. Like I was mentioning earlier, this is why you don't paint these things fully assembled. You paint them in pieces, and then you either permanently attach them afterwards, or you use stuff like small, heavy magnets. I mean, to some extent, that makes sense. So it's during the Great Crusade, either a little before it, during it, it's unclear. But Lorgar, the Primarch of the Word Bearers, I think it's Lorgar, gets corrupted. And part of the thought of how he is corrupted is he is like the main Primarch who insists on worshipping the Emperor as a god. And he has been, like, repeatedly reprimanded, like, no, don't do that. But that's, kind of where the chapter name comes in, the Word Bearers. Very, very religious zealot. And that made him, both the fact that he was kind of at odds, but also his religious zeal is what made him vulnerable. And one take on the kickoff of the heresy is he was kind of a Grima Wormtongue to Horus. I mean, you look at the armaments. This is a mean dreadnought. Heavy rocket pod, big plasma gun, two chest-mounted. Let's see, two chest-mounted twin-linked bolters. Probably heavy bolters. I have heard of a Contemptor. Those are the Crusade and Heresy era. Well, the rank and file Crusade and Heresy era dreadnoughts. That's also where, that era is also where we get the big dreadnoughts like Leviathans and whatnot. Which is missing. Elbow joints. Upper leg connectors. Something on the pelvis. The posterior armor. The butt plate. All right. Let's see. Neom. I hadn't heard about that one. Was this during the Space Wolves Thousand Sun thing prior to Cadia? Oh, Rogaldorn Battle Tank. Canticle of the Iron Soul. Tech Priest, it is time for your next rite. A Rogaldorn Battle Tank, procured from the hive world of Classified. Substantial biological foulness blunts its machine spirit and demeans its sacred symmetry. Rogaldorn Tank will be under the personal command of the eminent Commissar Franz, attached to the Astra Militarum forces at the imminent assault upon the planet that has been mentioned twice now. I hadn't heard the story of that one. I think the Space Wolves Thousand Suns and related conflicts are some of the more interesting ones. Because they have that it's a much more nuanced and personally narratively interesting conflict than just you guys are the baddies because you went against our great leader. Owing to the Rogaldorn tank's personal importance to the Commissar, he has insisted on recording directives which will be issued during the cleanse. The nature of its depositions contains certain sensitivities, so I encourage you to accompany the cleanse with contemplation upon the wisdom of Magos Logos Fastidicus. The eyes of the righteous look without seeing. You see nothing. They always give you some washer fluid for this, but I never use it. It's never necessary. It just expedites things. Okay, so looks like we got... Looks like twin heavy flamers. Got a... Oh, more heavy flamers. A Gatling gun style weapon. Auto gun on top. I don't know what the smaller gun is, but... Tech Priest, know that I expect my tank to be flawless upon its return. Commissars. Should this not be the case, I will arrange for you to join my forces gathering for the assault upon the planet below. Well, not this planet below, but the one that they're all gathering at. Indeed, I am certain you would fit in admirably with the ragtag collective of my vanguard. I was talking about it earlier. You get a lot of World War I and II vehicles are the basis for a lot of the Imperial vehicles. And then they add a bunch of like Gothic flares and chunkier look to them. Which results in effectively demoting their tech further most of the time. So like this tank configuration right here, very very World War era tank. The Lehman Russ is effectively a Sherman tank with, you know, more brutalist style heavy plating and whatnot. Which I'm sure retroactively has justified as like, oh, it's past the dark age of technology, but it's one of those, yeah, but you've also got lasers, so I feel like your tech didn't vanish quite that far, you know? Like, if you've got infantry deployable, sustainable laser weaponry that is actually useful, you got better than Sherman tanks. It's kind of like looking at Battletech mechs, where a lot of the designs are like, there's hints that they know what a weapon should look like or that kind of thing, but they've also been heavily influenced by things like 80s toy ads. What if this tank, but in space? What's this little corkscrew tea leaf for? I wonder if there's any of the, if we're going to see any of the advanced, like, AdMech things. Like their battle droid-looking stuff, or maybe, like, Skitarii vehicles, that kind of thing. Perhaps a Dune Strider, you know? I kind of like their big Robbie the Robot guys. Where they stick to the tenet that, much like Dune, one of their inspirations, AI is effectively outlawed. I can't remember what they end up calling them. They're like, but sinister machines or something along those lines, you know? Malevolent intelligences kind of thing. Among our number are the such and such. Are you familiar with them? I mean, maybe if you actually told me the name. Whilst most of my number need encouragement from my power sword with that, I need it to hold them back. Which side of my power sword might you fall, Tech Priest? With them, I needed to hold them back. I wonder if it's like Deathcore? Or it might just be the classic Commissar, you know, propaganda speak. Who knows? It's going to be a real hassle. Down here, get the other side. I like that little flare there, that almost like that real deep, heavy brass moment in that song. Yeah, we're definitely going to have at least one more session of this game, I think. Based on the screenshots, I know there's at least a Predator tank and an Imperial Knight left. So, you know, content. You do have to appreciate some of the practical flares on the vehicles, like the tow hooks, even on the Land Raider. Even the most advanced vehicles can get bogged down in space mud. Like mud in space. So easy to get sidetracked on that. You know, you're essentially chasing the yellow blips. right up in the grooves of these treads with this. At this fine of a nozzle, it's effectively a water pick. Can we get low enough to do this? Nope. So we get as close and as low as we can. Try to get under those little wheels. I think kind of the commissar and tanks of this kind of ilk. I don't know if it was fully a meme, but there is periodically a joke and imagery that is drive me closer, I want to hit it with my sword. And I think that's a good summation of commissars in this setting. It's the people that are charged with enforcing and distributing propaganda who simultaneously buy it whole, body and soul. Like they are true believers in the party line. Who simultaneously greatly benefit from that concept. They're the officers. Beyond the regiment stand 3 companies of Cadian troops. What's left of 3 companies of Cadian troops? Say they will be squandered in my diversionary vanguard is an understatement. But I doubt you possess the honor to fight alongside them. Cadian foot soldiers went from being sort of the bog standard generic Imperial Army guys to being viewed and kind of presented as the most grizzled of veterans, because Cadia went from being narratively just a go-to planet if you needed that. I do have a TikTok. I haven't been updating it quite as much, Mike. There's not as much traffic there, but I do, if you want to see some of the short videos I've uploaded there. Otherwise, I do upload short-form content to YouTube as well. I like how they've got these tiny little jerry cans of extra fuel just in case. Affixed prominently to the side of the vehicle where, you know, you could shoot them. I wonder if there's been any fiction that has addressed the fact that the mortality rate of commissars has got to be astronomical. Right up there with the desertion rate of Imperial Guard troopers. Like, oh, but they'd be run down. It's like, yeah, but they don't have other Imperial Guard forces or, you know, enough Space Marines to deal with every deserting regiment of soldiers. Just leave and blend back in with the populace. It's not like you're making your life conditions better by being in the Guard. It's like you get the same general treatment, but you also get shot at. Professionally. And welcome back, Cheese. I think our goal for the night is going to be to finish this tank. Maybe see what's next, you know? Used to be a thing in Warhammer 40k that vehicles had positional armor profiles, front, side, and rear kind of stuff. And this, archaic design of a tank illustrates why that is extra relevant. Because you've got the fuel tanks and the exposed engine bits back here on the rear of the tank. A mild weak spot, you might say. Finally, we have the penal legions. Collected these redacted, hyperbolic, from every corner of the galaxy. I won't have them redacted illustrative in their cells when they can be put to use fighting for the glory of the Imperium. So these are criminals, and one of the aspects of the Empire is that criminals can effectively be press ganged at any time, more or less to be cannon fodder. Would be perfect for an indolent mechanicus. And there are a couple of things wrong with his assertions. Is that one, he thinks very highly of himself that the Mechanicus would give him a tech priest of any flavor. Two, that they would want to have the AdMech present at all for an artifact retrieval. Best not to tempt them, you know? Oh man, we don't know what happened. All those guardsmen that were with us just spontaneously combusted and took the artifact with them. It's a shame. Just a shame. Too bad about that. We're gonna go home now. Fall of Cadia, though, which I kind of touched on, I feel was a wasted opportunity for them to really change up their stagnant narrative. Yeah, they advanced the storyline, but they didn't change the problem of the stagnation. And that's that the Imperium doesn't make sense. And I don't just mean like they're trying to make it grimdark, so there's an abnormally high casualty rate kind of thing. It's that, given that it is grimdark, these disparate factions of the Imperium, like wildly disparate factions, often at odds with the ideologies of each other, are allies. Like, expressly allies. Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Ultramarines, all of them have very powerfully different ideologies as far as how they operate, to the extent where historically they have come into conflict over them, like killing each other conflict. And the idea that they're like, oh, but, you know, we still work together for the betterment of all mankind. No, the people that are supposedly in charge of all mankind are just as bad, if not worse. And have wildly different ideologies than you. Now look at this goo. That is redacted residues. So the fall of Cadia, with the corresponding schisms and the subsequent events that had some major political upheavals, was an opportunity for them to go in and say, you know what? All of these Space Marine chapters, which have their own fiefdoms already, which operate almost independently, and have their own ideologies and behaviors, we are going to make them their own groups, and they're going to have truly their own stories, not as essentially it's Space Marines but blue, or Space Marines but slightly furry. But instead as this faction, this individual group that sometimes will be truly at odds with the, you know, with the administration of Holy Terra, with other Space Marine factions. I feel like from a tabletop perspective, that would give them a great deal more flexibility. You know, because Games Workshop loves to make completely individualized stuff anyway, but also narratively. It's similar to, like, I'd really like them to pull the trigger on the Emperor at some point. Whether I mean figuratively or literally. That Chekhov's gun has gotten dusty as hell. But again, I'm rambling about 40k lore and fiction and whatnot to the extent that I know of it, which is not robust in any fashion. I appreciate hearing stories and details that I'm not aware of, but if you are offended by my takes, let's take it as a discussion. I would like to learn from it, and we can talk through different interpretations of stories and what have you. I am not a but actually type or actually type, so but past that, if you just want to chat about something else, I'm down for that too. Though alternately, if you just want to listen to music in PowerWasher while I talk, that's also fine. Unauthorized data override from private bulk. Do not listen to the ramblings of that infernal commissar. Okay, so this message has either been, well, has been contaminated in some fashion. We in the Penal Legion pledge our allegiance to the Imperium voluntarily, and I'm honored to be part of this regiment. Okay, we don't know if this is propaganda then, because this really feels like, let's have an intervening message. Better to redacted conjecture in honorable futility than as a traitor in redact. Yeah, that feels like somebody hacked in, added a message that was effectively, don't listen to this guy, he's crazy, and somebody just rewrote it to be patriotic, you know? Oh, multi-meltas. Oh, man. This is short-range, heavy anti-armor weaponry there. 2 front-mounted melta-guns. Castigator Gatling cannon. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this went from anti-infantry oriented to, oh man, heavy anti-armor on it. Like, this is to some extent a Vanguard tank, which makes sense if it's a Commissar's personal tank. They are definitely a drive me closer, I want to hit it with my sword kind of people. We'll finish up in just a moment. I'm back, settling right in here. So, one of the things that I'm dealing with recently-ish, is that I got a new cat carrier for taking him to the vet, that kind of thing. And with the hard case cat carriers, they all hate them. Oh man, it's the most terrible thing ever. Even if I put like soft blankets inside them, it can be kind of close combat getting them in there. So I've got one that's like extra durable fabric, still, same kind of blankets and whatnot in it, that kind of thing. Mesh so that they can see out of it. Not much different as far as visibility. They like to go into that one and nap. They'll lay on top of it. They'll go inside it. I don't know how long that'll last if they get taken to the vet frequently. But Sky has been put in that one frequently to go to the vet. And he still goes into it to nap. It's really convenient. I'm pleased that that turn of events has happened, but simultaneously, I'm really annoyed. They're like, no, we really like this one. A track adjuster. Is it meant to be like saying it's tensioning this wheel here or something like that? Like this front sprocket or whatever it's called? Like pushing it inward or outward kind of thing? Lore is rarely on the stream. But he is one of my friends that knows a lot about tanks. So perhaps he would know. stowed rods. But are they inanimate in carbon? This particular rod from some different angles here. There we go. I like how they didn't take all this stowed stuff off for the cleaning. They just left it on. Perhaps they couldn't remove it because it's, like, adhered to the surface by whatever the goo is. This guy's tank has a lot of, like, decorative flares to it. There's a lot of, like, brass and whatnot instead of there just being... Where's this bronze? Can't recall. Anyway, there's a lot of flourishes that you would expect to just be, like, you know, steel or gunmetal looking, but are instead fully glossed up. Very officer chic, you know? I was mentioning the Memento Mori kind of stuff. You have Gothic, like the Gothic arches, and frequently you'll also see things like this with a skull or like a full skeleton or a stylized angel, like parchment-looking embellishments that will have things like, you know, death in Latin, that kind of thing. We need a kitty. Dominatus. The embellishments on this tank, the attitude of the commissar, that kind of thing. Oh, veterancy stripes. All right, Barbed Wire. Thanks for listening along. Good to hear from you again. But yeah, based on the armaments of this tank, it is very much meant to be a... It looks like it's meant to be a tip-of-the-spear kind of tank. There's way too many meltas on it for it to be effective at very long range and make use of all of its armaments. Okay, coaxial autocannon and an oppressor cannon. So this is its... Let's scrub it a little bit. Should be another... heavy stubber, yeah. So this is a... We look at the ammo. This is a standard gun. This is what we would understand to be a gun here. Hey there, Wizzy. Haven't seen you in a while. So you can see bullets. Autocannon is another that would be firing what, you know, it's a gun as we know it. It'll be firing big old shells. The oppressor cannon, probably the same way. Multi-meltas, though, they're effectively like... I don't know. It's a high-intensity laser kind of thing. Fires some sort of horrifying beam. And yes, PowerWash Simulator, very, very satisfying. Very, very chill game. This is the Warhammer 40,000 content. So we get to polish up the Grimdark. Doing okay. Kitties are doing good. You can see Ember is snoozing. Sammy is sitting on my lap. Not sure where Mason and Sherbet are. Sky has been... Let's take a look. Sadly, Wizzy, I'm assuming that it's because you have missed with the stream. It's Rorschach and Weasley passed last year. So we are currently at 5. There's Sky. There's Mason. Sherbet is currently not visible. But yes, we have Sammy, the little Tuxie, and we have Mason and Sherbet, the tan and white siblings there now. they were little sweethearts, and they will be missed. And even his little radio antennas are all brassed up. I think it's bronze, actually, isn't it? The orangish metal. Brass is like the very yellowy metal. Not like gold yellowy, but like really shiny yellow, right? Or is it the other way around? I never remember. The brownish orange stuff I like to use on I liked to use on my models. Not so far as copper. Like, definitely not as far as copper. Don't like the orange. Yeah, I used to paint stuff like this. I don't currently because, for one, really expensive, and the actions of a once friend greatly soured me on the hobby. But someday I do plan to get back into at least mini painting. Got the filament printer set up for it, but that is mostly suited to very particular models, since it that kind of printer has issues with fine detail. Even if the layers are like 1/10 of a millimeter, they're still visible, and they still limit the amount of fine detail you can get. But resin printers have their own difficulties. What with printing resin being very, very poisonous. Yeah, Laura has taken to printing BattleTech minis. That's a very different type of model printing. In Warhammer terms, it's like painting Tau is different than painting most of the other factions. Since, painting mechas is like painting vehicles. It's about plates and lines and the like. Almost done with the tank. Other pieces are left. There's a spare wheel. We saw that. We're not done with it, clearly. And one of the track adjusters. One of the rear lights. The cannon. The platform. And one of the viewing slits. As well as the auto cannon. Okay. I still like how much parkour is involved in the power washing stuff. Thing I'd like to do before getting into painting is getting a little painting area set up so I can do it on stream. Get some hand cam stuff going, but the location I wish to do that in is still obstructed. Well, thanks for joining us, Wizzy, and have a good night. Hope you get some sleep. This track adjuster. Okay. Spare wheel track is there, the little wheelie thing. Okay. All right. Cadia stands is the achievement. Oh. Okay, no. The candles are flickering in and out of view. Like in the background, the candles were actually popping in and out of existence. Tech Priest. It is as if the battle tank has emerged from its forge temple for the very first time. Freshly manufactured. It is resurrected. Even the towhook thirsts for glory. I will advocate for your promotion to the rank of Engine Seer, along with further cybernetic replacement of your Biologica. Okay, so we are being promoted to the same rank as our apparent superior at the time of the Dreadnought. And we're being told, hey, more cybernetics for you. In the interim, it would be sage of you to reflect upon the words of Lord Dogma Pulveris Gamma 6. That which cannot be trusted must be removed, which lines up with the cybernetics thing. It's, your meat is unreliable. Replace it with something better. Neat. All right, what's the next one? Oh yeah, an Imperial Knight Paladin. That'll be neat. But in the interim, like I said, we are going to do more of that this week. Hello, Sherbet. Hello. We are going to be doing more of this week. I do want to finish that off, so there will be at least one more stream of it. For the other stuff we'll be doing, I'll probably put the rest of the week towards coding, since we'll have 2 of this. So I haven't decided whether tomorrow will be more Power Wash or I'll put that later this week, but the remainder will probably be coding streams. So some power washing and some more progress on our game. So I hope you all had a good time watching tonight. If you did and you haven't already, consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps the channel grow and will help the algorithms show you more stuff like this. Let's see. My ending spiel has derailed. But again, hope you had a good time, everybody. I'll see you next time and have a good night.